The April 12th, 2012 meeting of the Carlynton Senior High School, the Carlynton School Board is called to order. The first thing we're going to do is have the Pledge of Allegiance, and actually, Dr. Furio, you wanted to introduce our interim principal, I believe.
Yes, I would. Our interim principal, who's taking Mrs. Maslick's place while she's on leave, is Dr. James Wolf. Now, we have a couple other introductions tonight, Dr. Wolf, so you're not going to be the main event here, but we're going to give you a little bit of notoriety. Dr. Wolf comes to us from the Bethel Park School District, where he served as an elementary principal for many years, and he's worked in many districts as a principal. And actually, he was in the Crafton Elementary School before, so the children remembered him and embraced him, and he's doing just a great job. So thank you very much, Dr. Wolf, for filling in. And I understand you're going to introduce some of the youngsters today who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, I am. And I'm thrilled to be back. Thank you. I would like to introduce Hannah. I already would. Use a microphone. This modern technology. Okay, I'd like to introduce Maddie Grainer.
Come on up, Maddie.
And Dominic Derenkamp. They're both really excited about coming here tonight. I have to tell you that
you're with your principal, and he'll hand you the microphone, and whatever it is you have to tell us, you can tell us this evening.
There you go.
And guys, maybe you could turn around and face the board here, which is that we're also where the flag is. Okay? Tell us what it is you have to say.
The cooking program has been great for me at Carlynton Elementary. The cooking program is a good program for me and other students that like to cook. The program has many things to like about cooking. I got to cook recipes and got to sample other people's food. The ingredients are healthy and some are organic. Sometimes we substitute unhealthy ingredients like butter, or we use applesauce. For the first 2 weeks, we made dishes that go with our subjects. Also, all of the recipes here in Unhealthy are healthy and very delicious. Mr. Figarelli and Mrs. Mendiola gave us recipes. Mr. Figarelli and Mrs. Mendiola shopped for the ingredients for us to make the snacks, and then we eat them. Now on Mondays, I have something to look forward to.
The cooking club gets the students at Carlynton healthy and active with other people. Here are some examples. The cooking club got the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders to get along better and know each other better. The students in the club also learned how to be responsible and independent by cooking by themselves. The students also learned how to follow directions off a recipe. The students at Carlynton are staying healthy and making healthy choices by making healthy foods. The teachers are also interacting with the kids more. Last but not least, the kids doing extracurricular activities gives them positive self-esteem.
So you guys, the cooking club, you meet once a week, is that right?
Yes.
Is it Mondays? Because I know my daughter does this as well and has a great time. So it sounds like you've really enjoyed yourself doing this. I really appreciate you guys coming here and telling us about it today. If any other words, Dr. Wolf, that you have? Or?
Well, I do.
Yes, please.
Now's the right time. I first of all want to thank Dr. Camperio for thinking of bringing me back. And I want to thank the board for approving me back. And I am thrilled to be here. I really had sort of a funny experience the first day I was here. I was down in the basement toward the end of the day, and there were some kids down at the end of the hallway. And they sort of were waving, so I went down to say hello. And one of them said to me, we were standing there talking, and he looked at my tie, which had a cartoon character on it. I'm not sure which one. And one of them said, I remember that tie. And I thought to myself, yeah, right. You know how many times I hear that? But I didn't say that. I said, oh, that's nice. Then another one said, were you here before? And things start to click now. She said, I think you were in our kindergarten group picture. So yeah, this year's 6th grade was the kindergarten that I left with. So it's great to be back. They have been wonderful. The whole school has been so welcoming. The staff, the kids, the parents. You know, and after you're back for a few days, you feel like you never left. And that's sort of neat. Because when you're in one place for a long time, you think that's the whole world. And then you go to other places and other districts, and you see that there are great people every place. And that's sort of the neat thing about education and the people that we run into. So I'm thrilled to be back. Thank you very much. And time's going by fast. I can't believe how it's flying already.
We're thrilled to have you back.
Thank you so much.
If everyone would please rise. And our pledge leaders would start us off.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Secretary will call the roll.
Director Sarah? Here. Director Wilson? Here. Director Schreiber?
Here.
Director Human? Here. Director Shariffa? Present. Director Montpellier?
Here.
Director Allen?
Here.
Director Schell? Director Russo?
Here. We'll now turn to the public. If anyone has any comments they'd like to make at this point on time on any item that's on the agenda. If you have come here and would like to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda, you'll have an opportunity to do that during the open forum session later in the meeting. But seeing no one rise to address or comment on business before the board, I will turn to, we have a presentation today. Ms. Lois Woolley.
Woolley.
And is there also an Aaron?
Aaron is not here. They just had a birth in their family.
Ah, great.
Nephew Dylan.
Lois, if you introduce yourself and get something to talk to us about.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm Lois Woolley. I am the development director and the acting executive director at the Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall. And I would like to first welcome everyone to our Civil War Day, April 28th. We are going to have a full day of the SB Post tours. And if you haven't seen the SB Post, I hope you'll really come, because it was closed in 1934 when the last veteran passed away, and then shuttered until the mid-'80s. So it's really a living history. I call it the Fabergé egg for authenticity of Civil War artifacts. And when you walk into the room, it's palpable, the passion and the living history. I'm going to use that word again because it is living history of the Civil War. This day is April 28th, Saturday, April 28th. We're going to have many reenactors in Carnegie Park, as well as a Civil War fashion show and a Victorian tea. And it's all on our website, which is carnegie.org. Also, I would like to say that I am anxious to welcome all of you to the Library and Music Hall. And my telephone number, if you want to jot this down, is 412-276-3456, extension 6. If you have any ideas on possible ideas that you would like to see happen at this beautiful library or music hall, I am open to suggestion. And Erin is the librarian, and she is doing a fabulous job with Math for You for this summer and Read to Me for school readiness. We're also potentially launching Science for You, which is, if you're familiar with Math for You, this is the equivalent for school readiness for science. And statistics and feedback has shown that the children that have participated in Math for You have gone on to be placed in the higher maths in their various curriculum in their various school programs. So if you have any questions, or if you would like to talk about an idea that you might have for the library, please call me. And I welcome anyone that will not be able to come on April 28th for a private tour of the SB Post. And the docents are there every Saturday from 11 to 3. So thank you so much. And would anybody have any questions now? Yes.
What are your hours on April 28th?
That's a good question. We're having a talk at 9:45 for coffee, and a gentleman that just opened a business in Carnegie making cheesecake. He's going to have his cheesecake there. So please come at 9:45 for a private talk, and then the tours and the full activities start at 10.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming, Patricia.
Thank you for having me.
At this point, we're going to jump ahead in our agenda, and I will, at this point, entertain a motion to approve a 4-year agreement with Gary D. Pfeiffer for the position of Superintendent of the Carlynton School District, effective July 1, 2012, with terms and conditions set forth as presented. Do I have such a motion? There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We will have our discussion, and as we start with that, I'd first like to introduce Dr. Diane Kirk, who we brought on to help us in this process, in the search process. She's been instrumental in this. We very much appreciate all that you've done for us, and would like you to, if you had a few words, if you come up and address the group.
Thank you. I'd personally like to say to the audience as well as to the board what a pleasure it was working with the Carlynton School Board. We started back in December, and since then it's been a 4-month journey to try to secure someone that was ethical, talented, and with the proper skills to be able to lead this district. I think that the many nights that you all spent, the amount of time researching your candidates, and the amount of time you spent in interviews has really paid off and will pay dividends in the future to the Carlynton School District. I am very proud of the candidate that you have selected. As we looked through many talented people, and it was very difficult looking at all of the qualities that wanted to be a part of Carlynton. In fact, I say with pride you had 31 people that applied to become your superintendent. So I think that the district did a great job in attracting people, and I think that you did a better job in the selection process. I think you have someone who will be able to move a quality district in the right direction for many years to come. Gary, I wish you a lot of luck. I'm very proud of you and very happy for you and your family with this new career move for you. And I want to thank the board for the integrity in which you presented yourself during this entire process. It was my pleasure from the University of Pittsburgh to work with each of you. And I wish you luck in the future. If I can ever be of assistance again, please don't hesitate to call. And I do want to thank Joe Imperio and David, who were in touch with me at all times about this. It's been a really good relationship and a good move for Carlynton. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Diane. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say a couple of words, and I'd invite the board as well before we ask our superintendent to come up and say hello. It's been an exhaustive process. I'm very proud of this group, the great work that was done. Dr. Imperio and Dr. Kirk are very much a part of it, and I feel very excited about this. I've been looking forward to today. We've gotten to know Gary Pfeiffer, and really feel he is a wonderful fit for this district, and our best days are ahead. I think he's going to be quite the guy, quite a great guy to be leading us in those great days. Anyone else would like to say anything at this point in time? Not
I do regret it. Can we talk about more specific qualities that were...
if they're flattering, I'm sure Gary.
It was some of the things that kind of jumped out in Mr. Pfeiffer's curriculum experience and developing that, and also just how he views relationships with different stakeholders, just people in general. That came through during the interview process was quite notable. So I am very excited that you accepted and that you're here.
Barry, is there anything you'd like to say at this point?
No, I'd just like to say, to address the board, Dr. Imperio, and give you my sincerest thanks for giving me this opportunity to work with you and to work with the stakeholders to serve the community. I believe with you, this is a dynamic school district. This is a very, very tight, close-knit community, and I think we have a lot of potential to move forward together. And I look forward to working with the faculty, my fellow administrators, and the school board members as we set goals and move this district forward. It's an exciting time to be here in Carlynton, and I'm very humbled and honored to have the opportunity to be here and be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other comments at this point, we will call for a vote, and we will do it by voice vote, if Secretary would call.
Director Wilson?
Yes.
Director Cesaro?
Yes.
Director Shariffa?
Yes.
Director Shell?
Yes.
Director Hugan?
Yes.
Director Wolkowiak?
Yes.
Director Apple?
Yes.
Director Shriver?
Yes.
Director Russo?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have a couple of things to welcome the board with a 9-0 vote, which is a great thing to start with. We're all behind you, buddy.
Looking forward to it.
Could you come up here, Vice President Cesaro has got some things here for you.
You're welcome to open the bags later,
I'm so excited that you
but for now, you know what, where that
There we go. Happy to have you here. At this point in time, we're going to take a break. I'll call for a recess. You're invited to come up, have some coffee, have some cookies, get a chance to meet our superintendent. It'll be maybe for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll resume the meeting. So, this meeting is called back to order. We'll continue now with the approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 15th, 2012 meeting. There's a motion. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I just wanted to correct something on 7318 of the division. GASB law, I believe was something else, but I'm not aware of it. GASB, not GASBY. Let's refer something else.
GASB, Government Economy.
Oh, gas, yes. Right. We'll make that correction. Okay. So, I'll entertain that as a motion to correct the minutes accordingly. And is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will move on the vote on the motion to correct the minutes. We'll make the amendment to amend the motion to correct the minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Oh. With 2 abstentions? Not there at the meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Directors Shariffa and Hugan were not in the meeting, so they abstaining on the vote to amend the motion.
Because of the spelling of the word.
Now, we will vote now on the main motion unless there are any further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Directors Shariffa and Hugan were not at the meeting and they abstained. Thank you. We'll move on to reports. I'll report to you that in executive session, this board met prior to this meeting. We discussed legal, contractual, and personnel issues. I'll move now to the administrative reports, and we'll start with our superintendent, Dr. DePiero, who will take these students' reports.
Okay. I'm going to start off by mentioning just a brief report. I'm so pleased to see the board elected a superintendent this evening, and I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for the district, as Dr. Kirk suggested, and it's wonderful to have a 9-0 vote. That's a real solid show of support. So I think the district is just going to continue to do better and move ahead. And thank you, Mr. Russo's, and now on the principal's reports.
Thank you. It's been a busy week. That's about how long I've been there, I think. We have had 2 assemblies in that time. We had Mike Bradley from Channel 4 last week, and we had the high school came to do a little presentation on the musicals coming up, the Drowned and Chaplain. They did a great job. I was really surprised how well the kids listened to the kinds of things that they were showing, even the blockers and so forth. The kids really, I thought, paid attention to what was going on, so that was pretty good. Today was also kindergarten registration day at Crafton, and I think we had a good turnout. I have 30 seconds.
Yeah, you're on. Mention the zoo. Mention the zoo. Got a trip to the zoo.
You know, the hardest part of being new is knowing what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. Looking like you know what you're doing. And, also, we have STEAM coming up on the 26th of this month, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with. But I did practice with that as the science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. I practiced that. So I found, and it sounds very exciting program. We also had, I think we had our zoo, the kindergarten had a field trip today to the zoo. Not today, yesterday.
Yesterday.
It was a little chilly, but it didn't rain and it didn't snow, and they all had a great time. So, and we got to see, this has been one of the greatest things, we got to see the baby gorilla. But the gorilla, when we were looking at the gorillas, the baby gorilla was wrapped around Mom's leg, and Mom was walking, and was going hung on, and there was a male leaning almost against the glass where we were. She walked up to him, communicated to him somehow. I really couldn't quite see what it was, but he got up and moved, so she could come over and sit down. It's just like home. But the kids loved it. We had a great time. And I thought it was an excellent trip.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We have been busy at Carnegie as well, and you guys will see the newsletter. Just some events that are coming up and some events that we participated in. Listed are March Hudson's Heroes, and Chief Harbin and Sergeant Kennedy from the police department. We picked one Hudson hero a month, and we've been going out to lunch along with a teacher. Last month, Madison Chivatoni, thank you. Madison Chivatoni was our winner. Student celebrations, we had 52 students in grades 4 through 6 make high honors, and 50 students make honor roll. You can come visit Carnegie Elementary at the Fire Department 5K on April 28th. We will have a table with some items for kids. I also would like to congratulate our DARE essay winners, which was Sydney Franchek, Bobby Chapman, and Devon Kirkland. And we had our DARE graduation 2 nights ago, which was a nice turnout. Testing's not quite over yet. Next week will be the 5th grade PSSA writing, as followed by 4th grade science. But we did celebrate the students and the staff efforts. We had a Minute to Win It assembly in which students were picked for their hard work and effort. And it was so nice. Naomi Bistic was able to provide us with some bowling, free bowling passes, and the grade that won, which was 3rd grade, Minute to Win It. We were able to give them passes, as well as we had a hula hooping contest. So you can see some of the pictures from there. We also had kindergarten registration yesterday, and we had 48 students come, so it was a really great turnout for Carnegie. So, that's about it. Lots of good things happening.
Thanks.
I'd just like to recognize some of the accomplishments of students at the high school. First, as Dr. Wolford pointed out, the high school musical, the preparations are reaching their fever pitch as usual at this time of the year. And we really look forward to next week's high school musical, The Drowsy Chaperone, being on Thursday the 19th, Friday the 20th, Saturday the 21st at 7:30 in the auditorium, and then Sunday matinee at 2 p.m. Also, we'd like to recognize the students of the month for this month. In grade 7, Molly Cozy, grade 8, Emmanuel Burton, 9, Mackenzie Albright. Grade 10, Carson Rutke. Grade 11, Alon Mayer. Grade 12, Jared Platlich. We'd also like to wish good luck to 3 of our seniors, Jessica Barton, Alexandra Barnes, and Adam Posey, who will be representing Carlynton as well as Parkway Career and Technology Center at next week's Skills USA competition in Hershey. Jessica will be competing in the area of nursing, Alexandra in cosmetology, and Adam in automotive service specialization. Speaking of Parkway, 4 of our students are going to be inducted into the National Technical Honor Society at Parkway. That ceremony will be on April the 24th at 6:30 at Montour High School. Those students who are going to be inducted that night, senior Alexander Barnes, juniors Shelby Lewis and Sabrina Waddell, and sophomore Zachary Ray. One additional item that wasn't able to close the report because I just got it late this afternoon. One of our students, junior Alon Mayer, qualified for the 2013 National Merit Scholarship Program, and that's based on her score on last fall's PSAT NMSQT test. Her score put her in the highest 50,000 students out of over 1.5 million students who took the test. It's the first time in a number of years we've had a person qualify for this program, and obviously we're very, very proud of Alon.
Right. And I'll tell you what, I think this is the right.
Thank you. Move on now to the Director of Pupil Services Report, Mrs. Meyer.
Hi, 2 things. I just wanted to thank Dr. Hillary Mangus, who's our school psychologist, who helped to organize all of the kindergarten registrations and prepare everything with the schools. And I also wanted to announce that May 1st at 6 p.m. we're having a parent night at Carnegie Elementary School, and that will be led by Wesley Spector of Services in regard to children's mental health needs and how that impacts their education.
Turn now to our business manager for his report, Mr.
Just one item. You may recall a few years ago, Act 32 required one tax collector per district for the Southwest Tax Collection Committee. And the funds have started to come into the school district as of the middle of March. I attended a meeting last night. Jordan Tax Services, the tax collector for our committee, they seem to be on top of things. However, they're experiencing a large volume of calls from employers not knowing what to do, and there's a few kinks that have to be worked out, but it appears that they're on top of things, and I don't anticipate any problems with not receiving the money after attending last night's meeting.
Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. You'll see you've received the minutes from the Parkway West Joint Operating Committee meeting of February 7, 2012. Pathfinder report, Director Wilson.
Pathfinder did not meet this month, we're going to meet next month.
Director Wokowiak, Parkway West report.
Parkway West, the meeting is this evening. I'm here.
We're glad to have you. We'd say for
You like that?
All right.
I only attended this meeting, so I wouldn't have to get the right.
Can't be 2 places at once.
Director Shreppa, Shasta.
We didn't have a meeting last month either.
Okay. I'll turn then to Director Shelf, PSBA and legislative report.
There are meetings that
Okay.
are going on. The House Education Committee amended and approved House Bill 2028 to remove separation of rankings, which currently requires school districts to bid individual portions of school construction contracts.
Support. Thank you.
The Separations Act no longer applies and no longer requires the use of separate contracts for such projects, HVAC, electrical, plumbing. House Bill 2028 was amended with technical changes to include the correct bid limit amount to $18,500. And it clarifies that there must be a contract for the work, whether it is a single contract or multiple contracts. Pennsylvania's on-time graduation rate increased from 80.2% in 2002 to 80.5% in 2009. So it's not a great increase, but a little bit. More changes, or I guess more action happening with Keystones. The Senate Education Committee amended and approved Senate Bill 1436, which prohibits the Department of Education or the State Board of Education from taking action before June 30th of 2020 that would eliminate, delay, or limit the development or implementation of the Keystone exams. This bill prohibits the Department of Education and the State Board of Education from enacting a plan to reduce the Keystones from 10 to 3 exams. So that proposal apparently has now been shot down. The bill also keeps the current requirements that exams count for at least 1/3 of the student's final course grade. So there was some talk that they would get rid of that, and with this bill from the Senate, they're moving to not do that, to keep it. The Senate Education Committee approved Senate Bill 1440, which requires the state to reimburse school districts for costs related to the implementation of Keystone exams that have been eliminated or simply not developed by June 30th of 2018. So there's a lot of talk of future things happening, and so for the present, Keystone seems pretty much to be still up in the air. Let's see. In terms of taxes, there's a little bit of action here. The State Finance Committee amended and approved Senate Bill 1309, prohibiting school or other taxing districts from appealing property assessments based on the sale of a property. So how that would impact us, I'm not really sure. And the Senate Appropriations Committee approved Senate Bill 1466 concerning the 2012-2013 state budget. All appropriations reflect the amounts recommended by Governor Corbett. So it seems like we're moving along with the state budget. PD will also have a local assessment validations webinar on Tuesday, April 24th to help schools make their decision whether or not to use Keystone exams or independently validated assessments as graduation requirements. The school must inform PD of their decision by June 30th. If I'm not mistaken, was it last year sometime that this district made the decision that we wouldn't use locally validated assessments, but rather we would go to the Keystone?
Maybe the national. Maybe Nara's referring to the, we used to give the California achievements and so forth, and then we went to the Keystones. No? Okay, I was just trying to...
I couldn't remember if we had done that, if we decided we weren't going to use, because I know we talked about it a little bit, but I can't remember if we did it with those discussions. Are we ever going to discount using locally validated assessments, because the cost to do that can be significant. And so I can't remember having those discussions. It happened when they so, but I guess the district needs to do something by the 30th. So what do we need to do to get on that? Okay, so I guess that's something that needs to be on the board's radar, that we should engage the administrators and superintendent and figure out what is going to be best for this district, because to have a plan for those, if we're going to do locally validated assessments, there needs to be a plan as to what assessment and get them validated and figure out the costs for that. And my understanding is you don't have to, it could be subject specific, right? You could have something in biology, but then use the Keystone for algebra. So if the superintendent, I guess, could get some meetings going, so we could, because June 30th is coming up.
I just wrote a note at the start next to it. The other thing too, and we were waiting for the new superintendent to come back to the board with a recommendation on our electronic monitoring system. And you've heard terms like hands-on or on-hand schools and performance trackers and so forth. So that's, I think, kind of a related agenda item that we'll get together.
But unfortunately, he doesn't start till July.
No, that's right. But we still can have discussions with him about that.
Because I was trying to remember, like, as I remember the deadline being June 30th, I was trying to remember what it was that we had done. And I can remember we started having some conversations and then we sort of evaporated. So if we can pick those up again, I think it would be helpful.
Anything else, Director? Thank you very much, appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on now to our agenda under miscellaneous. You see there a list of conference and field trip requests, and I would entertain a motion to approve them as presented and approved by the administration. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion to ratify the district's submission of the completed educational impact projection questionnaire to the Pennsylvania Secretary of Education. As directed by the Secretary, this questionnaire was completed by the district and submitted to his office by April 2nd, 2012. The information within the questionnaire supports the Carlynton School District's strong opposition to the formation of Roslyn Farms Borough as an independent school district with proposed transfer to the Chartiers Valley School District. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll open up the discussion by pointing out that we have with us today Tricia Andrews from our Solicitor's Office of Danger Surprise, but also Amy Thompson, who was very involved in the preparation, the completion, drafting of the questionnaire, along with Bill Andrews and Dr. DePiero and myself. This is, for a little background, we are familiar with the fact that Roslyn Farms has petitioned the Secretary of Education to be allowed to basically leave Carlynton and join the Chartiers Valley School District. The process is one where having submitted a petition which was in court, which was accepted by the judge, to go forward. That's what the judge has accepted and met certain basic criteria, so it was allowed to go forward. The Secretary of Education now is basically fact-finding, and that pursuit has asked both Carlynton and the Chartiers Valley School District to complete a questionnaire. Both districts have done that. We've received a copy of the Chartiers Valley completed questionnaire, and now CV, Chartiers Valley School District, Carlynton, as well as the petitioners, those from Roslyn Farms, those folks who filed the petition, all have a chance to respond to these questionnaires that have been submitted. So that's what we did it by April 2nd. I don't know, Tricia, if you have anything you want to add, or Amy, if there's anything at this point you want to add?
I don't think there's anything else to add.
Okay. It's a pretty big, would you mind, Amy, holding up, I mean, with that binder alone right there, those are the attachments. So then we have a questionnaire that's a fairly good size as well. So it's a good bit of work, but we feel it very much supports our contention. There's no educational merit. That's the test. Is there educational merit for the transfer? We feel that very strongly what we've submitted shows there is none. Any discussion, further discussion from anyone on the board?
David, going forward, could you just outline, or perhaps Trish, as far as the timeline, so people will be there?
There's and Amy, you can help me out. So there's a 30-day period where we can respond to Chartiers Valley's petition. If we deem that to be necessary, the petitioner also has 30 days then to respond to that, to our submission or to our rebuttal, and then from there the secretary will become involved. So we're looking at a few more months of process.
And at least one, maybe two more submissions to the foundation. And then once we get to that point where the submissions are done, we don't really know how long it will take for the secretary to make a decision, do we?
We don't. The secretary is on his own timeline at that point.
So,
He does not have a deadline that he would have.
other questions, other comments?
So this motion is simply to acknowledge the submission of the questionnaire.
It is ratifying, which is sort of approving after it was done, the submission. And this was not brought up earlier. Our previous meeting was March 15th. March 15th. And this document we're still being developed and work on the second paper deadline. So a ratification is really a vote to approve something that's already been done.
And also, David, we were looking to put it on our webpage and make it available.
Absolutely.
To the community.
We're going to do that as well. Everybody has a chance to see it.
I'd just like to say, review the document.
very impressive case. That was extremely well done. Just want to thank you all who were involved for all your hard work. Particularly Tony, the attached signatures of parents and relevant forms. You could make them mine.
There are, I believe, 65 school-aged children that live in Roslyn Farms. 34 attend religious schools, for the most part, parochial schools. There are some that are not parochial. And the other 31 attend Carlynton. Those 31 students are part of 21 families. And 19 of those 21 families signed a petition that very strongly stated they did not want to leave Carlynton. They felt their children were getting a better education here and they did not want to see this transfer take place. That was in response to Roman numeral 5 in the petition, which asked specifically, what are the feelings of the parents of the children who would be affected by this transfer? So that was in response to that question. Anything else? With that said, we'll take a roll call vote. Again, it is the motion is ratification of the district's submission of the questionnaire to the Secretary of Education.
Director Schreiber.
Yes.
Director Allen.
Yes.
Director Hughes.
Yes.
Director Wilson.
Yes.
Director Walkowiak.
Yes.
Director Shell.
Yes.
Director Cicero.
Yes.
Director Shariffa.
Yes.
Director Russo.
Yes. Motion passes. Move on, number 3, I will entertain a motion to rescind the motion of July 14th, 2011 in miscellaneous item number 0711-01 for a field trip to the McIver Environmental Center on May 9th through 11th, 2012, and a portion of the motion on March 1st, 2012 for miscellaneous item number 0312-01 revised, which added another day, May 8th, to the McIver Environmental Center field trip. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Under Finance, you'll see the first 9 items under Finance are an item to approve the Roslyn Farms earned income tax refund is submitted. To approve resolution number 161 of the Parkway West Center and Technology Center, Parkway West Career and Technology Center general operating budget for the 2012-2013 year. Resolution number 162 of the Parkway West Alternative Center for Education general operating budget for the 2012-2013 school year, and resolution number 163 of the Parkway West Career and Technology Center building rental budget for the 2012-2013 school year. Item number 5, the agreement between the district and UPMC Health Systems Western Psychiatric Institute and Clinic for SAP Addiction Liaison Services for the 2012-2013 year. Number 6, the agreement between the district and Keystone Oaks for participation in Project Succeed Consortium for the 2012-2013 school year. Number 7, the Architectural Innovations LLC proposal for scope of work to replace the Crafton Elementary roof as submitted. Number 8, the request for proposal from Architectural Innovations LLC for the architectural drawings and specification documents involving the window well replacement project for Carnegie Elementary School is submitted and to advertise for bids. Finally, number 9, the February 2012 cafeteria operating budget as presented by Airmark Education Services. Is there a motion to approve those 9 items?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on those items? If you would, identify the item you wish to discuss by its number.
I have a question on 6.
Number 6, which is the agreement between the district and KO, participation in Project Succeed. Yes.
On page 3, just to be sure, are we planning on 12 students? Because it says that if they're planning 12 students, there's a maximum of 12 students for the sum of $12,000. So I just wanted to know, is that $12,000 for 12 students when you have 12 students, and so that's the price?
Well, I think we're reserving a spot, but Bob or Laura, why don't you comment on that?
We do use, actually, I believe that will represent more than 12 students because as there's a 12 slot. So students who need the credit recovery and try to succeed do not always stay for the full year. So they'll go through the work we need to complete, and another student could take that slot if that's the year. There's no additional charge. And we have used all our spots. And it's a great program. It helps our students very, very strongly and make good use.
I just wasn't clear if we didn't hit that mark, then now we're paying for something that we're not getting, but if we plan to hit that mark, then could say, oh yeah, product to seed is great.
It's really helped our students with the graduation process year after year. And I would be very shocked if we didn't use those slots as the year goes along.
So I'm clear, Dr. Cecchini. Basically, is it fair to say we've reserved 12 seats at the table, whether we have bodies in them or not, we're paying $12,000, whether we have bodies in them or not, but we've always had bodies in them, and we anticipate that'll be the case as well. Is that fair to say?
Yes. We often have more than 12 bodies.
Not to be too personal.
We refer to as students.
That was the word I was missing. Further comments on items 1 through 9? Mr. Director Schreiber.
I have a question about number 7. Just to clarify.
And this is the Architectural Innovations LLC proposal for scope of work to replace Grafton Elementary School.
Correct. So this is a request to have a design and engineering firm look at the roof and make scope of work for an eventual construction firm to do that.
That's right, to put it out to bid.
And I'm not an engineer, so I don't know the specifics, but is the design that we will ask them to put together, is that contingent upon what we want the outcome to be? I guess I don't even know if there are multiple possible outcomes of how we want that roof configured. Does that then affect the design that AI would put together?
Go ahead, Betsy.
Well, I think we've all been talking about doing something that might be like a green roof. So it could be in part of their scope that they would provide to have it an option to bid it that way. I mean, there's your typical roof would be what's there, which is a rubber roof. So, and it's black. And so there could be an option, hoping we'd have an option at a bid to perhaps do away with.
Further discussion on items 1 through 9? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Items number 11, 12, and 13 are for scope of work to replace the high school cooling tower, scope of work to replace the high school domestic hot water heater, and scope of work to replace Carnegie Elementary sewage pump. Specifically, these 3 items look to have the scope of work done so we can then put it out for bid. And we have 2 firms that we have talked about and discussed as to which one of them would be doing this work. Not knowing how the board feels on this, not knowing what name to put in there. I would, I'm sorry? I guess Tower Engineering and Loftus Engineers. So I would welcome any thoughts from the board as to how they may want to proceed. I wonder if we might not just have a discussion right now, and then rather than voting yea or nay on a motion, understand that the voting would be for the name to go in there, and we would vote either Tower or Loftus. Is that a procedure everybody's comfortable with at this point in time, or does someone have another suggestion as to how to approach this? This being a contract, we had some discussions about it downstairs in executive session. I'll just start off by saying it sounds like both firms are very reputable. I'm not sure that we're going to go wrong either way. The total fee for all 3 projects is anywhere from 11 to some 13 something thousand dollars. So it's relative to what we've got here as a budget. It's modest. I mean, some small students might get as modest as well, in terms of work here, facilities as well. I guess from what I've heard, I personally am inclined to go simply with the lowest bid. I've not heard, I mean, just from the evidence I've heard, I'm inclined, which would be Loftus Engineers. So I welcome others who may feel otherwise or think otherwise to share their thoughts. Or
To be clear, they are not bids, they're proposals.
Proposals, thank you. These proposals for services. I welcome others to comment.
Things seem to be generally fairly equal between the two in terms of what the proposals are. And right now, I'm in the middle, I guess, I'm leaning more towards, for a project of this size, going with the lower amount for us to spend for this size project. Because both companies seem, at this point, fairly equal.
I think it's relevant to point out also the tower engineering, there are benefits to them with them, even though they're a couple of $1,000s more. We've had a good working relationship with them, good experience with them. So that's kind of where the board is right now, a bit of a trade-off, as I personally see.
I feel torn, and as I think about it, but because I want us as a board to be responsive to the needs or to the desires of our staff, and our maintenance man is partial to having tower, that kind of sways me in that direction. And that's the dilemma.
I would be in favor of Loftus.
Others?
I'm in favor of Loftus also because they're located, but also because they're making
I feel, as Director Sherwood does, it seems like a nominal sum that these things add up. I'd be inclined to go with Loftus and recognizing also the fact
From what I'm hearing from directors, it appears that Loftus is going to be the firm.
Well, I'll make my comment.
Please.
Because obviously I do not feel in the same manner. And the reason, I'll add one more reason other than you had stated. Obviously, there is the comfort level of dealing with this company from a maintenance man who has many, many duties to perform and may at times need a little bit of leeway. Now, that comes with a cost. On the opposite side of that, that cost increase, which is $2,338, is offset, and I'll read it from the proposal. Based on, it says that tower engineering, specifically, if our office is selected for this project, we will conduct a walkthrough of both elementary schools to observe the condition and configuration of the existing systems. Based on our observations and discussions during the walkthrough, we will develop a conceptual scope of work and cost estimates for each building that would be consistent with a limited scope renovation and includes replacement of the HVAC systems, electric upgrades, electrical plumbing, etc. Now, that has some value, and that can be argued against. Now, keep in mind that we've gone through a feasibility study, we've gone through the Thomas and Williamson report. Last summer, we had Mr. Recchio sit here and address, or at least compile a list of the needs as he sees them through his eyes of the school district. Recently, there's also been other talks with administration, teachers, etc., that also brought up needs that they feel need to be addressed. These things need to be prioritized. I see this as a way of more quickly addressing the so-called needs that were compiled over a period of time from last summer through most recently in a concise manner, so that we will get a very quick look at what the cost of renovations based on that needs list will be. Now, that's not to say that this can't be done at a future point in time by another engineering firm. I guess the cost is the issue. I believe myself that any engineering firm that comes in here, I think they're going to roll their costs into a proposal, much like it was rolled into this proposal. I look at it as a benefit. I just disagree respectfully with the viewpoints of the other board, but I would, whoever is chosen, I would have no problem approving because we're dealing with two reputable firms. I just see it as a way to advance a little quicker, looking at the long-term needs of this district and more comprehensive plans, getting a little quicker. Because we do have those proposals, but it's pretty hard to pick all that out and really disseminate, what those costs are going to be from those proposals. So we have to do it again.
Other comments?
Could I ask a follow-up question? Is it possible that either Tower or Loftus would do that walkthrough as a subsequent service, either at a fee or no fee, depending on?
It's always negotiable.
Perhaps we could do that concurrent to this project.
I'm looking at the proposals as they stand right now, because we have to approve something to move ahead at this point. Right. So these projects can be taken care of in the summer months.
But I like your point about let's keep this thing rolling. There's a lot to do.
That's the benefit that I see of the additional funds at this point. That's it.
Further discussion? From what I've heard from this board, it does sound to me that Loftus has the support of the majority. So unless there's any objection, I'll ask for a motion to approve the Loftus proposal for the scope of work to replace the high school cooling tower, the Loftus proposal for the scope of work to replace the high school domestic hot water heater, and the Loftus proposal for the scope of work to replace the Carnegie Elementary sewage pump as submitted. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any further discussion?
I think just to be clear for the public,
Yes.
what this is that they're actually going to be doing the work, but if you could clarify.
They are to do the work. We put out a request for bids.
Proposal.
For proposal, an RFP, request for proposal. And we are hiring a firm who's going to use their engineering skills to be able to very clearly define exactly what it is that we need and put that in our specifications that will be used to then by bidders to put together a competent proposal. Is that? That's correct. That's correct. So that's what we're voting. Is there any further discussion on the motion? A yes vote will be for Loftus. A no vote would be not for Loftus, presumably for Tower. So Secretary will take a roll call vote.
Director Schell?
Yes.
Director Cicero?
Yes.
Director Walkowiak?
Yes.
Director Hugan?
Yes.
Director Sharippa?
Yes.
Director Apple?
Yes.
Director Wilson?
Yes.
Director Schell? I'm sorry,
Yes.
Director Russo?
Yes.
And one left, Dr. Schreiber.
Yes.
Dr. Schreiber. Congratulations. All right, motion passes. We'll move on to personnel. You see item number 1 under personnel is a motion to approve the addition of the 2011-2012, in addition to the 2011-2012 activities supplemental list. Number 2 is our additions to the 2011-2012 day-to-day substitute list. Number 3, approval of Elsie Petraglia for the position of general food worker at Carnegie Elementary School. Number 4, professional employee contracts to Rachel Foltz and Meredith Kalatis for completing 3 years of satisfactory service for the terms and conditions of the Carlynton Federation of Teachers Collective Bargaining Unit Agreement. Number 5, intermediate leave of absence for employee CFT 12-08 is presented. And number 6, the retirement of maintenance person Dale Woody Woodall, effective August 2nd, 2012, and the last day of work ending June 29th, 2012, for the terms and conditions of the custodial maintenance collective bargaining agreement. Is there a motion for those 6 items? There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of these items? Please identify the item by its number.
Just one comment, David. On item number 6.
With regard to Dale
Dale
Woodall.
Yeah. Dale's been with us a long time. I know him from the last time I was here and on and off through my weekly visits to Trader Jack's. And a wonderful employee for our district and a great guy, and I wish Woody a lot of luck.
As we will do. Any further comments on these items? If not, we will take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Abstentions, the motion carries. Finally, in the student services, I'll entertain a motion to approve Leona Smalley as an additional bus driver as recommended by the Transportation Director and Student Transportation Owner.
So moved.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstention, the motion carries. That's our agenda business. We'll move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business a director would like to bring up at this point in time?
I would like to propose that the new superintendent would work with the board and revisit the work that needs to be done on the strategic plan. I think that should. Is that on his?
But I think it's a good thing to point out.
Bringing it up.
Yes.
Thank you. Anything else under unfinished business?
I was wondering about, I don't know if this is possible, for something from the district to go out to, at the very least, Dawson Farm residents to update them on the status of the petition. I think it should be district-wide, but. Just being in the neighborhood, there are a lot of people who don't know what's going on, don't know that there's been a questionnaire, don't know a lot of things. So, I mean, ideally district-wide if it's on the website, but if there could be some sort of more personal.
I would offer, if it's the pleasure of the board, to work with Dr. Imperio and Counselor Thompson and Press Andrews to, based on the work we've done in the questionnaire together, to put something together with the idea of distributing it, if not specifically or solely to Rossman Farms, but district-wide as well, and have something ready for this board to take a look at no later than our next meeting, if that would be satisfactory.
And on an unrelated issue, is there something that the district is planning for those folks who have retired at the end of the school year, like a reception or something to welcome back? That'll happen again.
It'll be the last, probably the meeting of May, of the month.
Absolutely. Anything else under unfinished business?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to bring up the report that was forwarded to us concerning the potential renovations for the cafeteria. First of all, I want to understand.
Who's this, the report was from, for our audience, this is the report from?
This was from McFarland, Kistler and Associates. And this concerns the walkthrough that they did looking at our facility and my understanding of funding that we have in the budget for the cafeteria that has to be spent as of now, this year.
So this is a group we invited in to take a look, and this is their report. Thank you.
Right. So, first of all, I mean, I think it was a report that wasn't surprising about the kitchen and the outdatedness of the way that we presently serve our students and who we prepare them to, and some issues that are involved there. But that being said, I guess I just wanted to see which direction we think we may proceed as far as looking at this report. Obviously, there were 4 options. others more expensive than some. But being that we do have to spend, as of now, at $57,000, and knowing that there are issues within the cafeteria itself, I guess one of the questions I would have before we even started looking at these options is I'd like to hear from our maintenance supervisor as far as equipment that is either inoperable, has been a maintenance headache, maybe not be able to get parts, or the equipment that may be on its last leg. And then I'd also like some input from the head club as far as equipment needs that might be able to improve efficiencies within the cafeteria itself. I think that's a good first look, just to get some feedback from those two individuals, because there's not an option here that really falls within the $57,000 budget, so to speak. But there may be things that we can do to help the process and serve our children in a more efficient and better manner.
Yeah, the board, the only response I have to that, Ray, is the board had so many items dealing with maintenance issues this month. I was really going to reserve that.
Oh, no, I'm just bringing this up so that we can get some direction.
Okay.
So that whenever we look at this in more depth, that we have feedback internally as well to compare to what our outside individuals said that our needs truly are.
The only comment I'd make at this point is that you were right to reference. The state had sent us some correspondence saying that we did have this excess money in our cafeteria fund, which is specifically dedicated to improving the cafeteria. So a few months ago, we began to, and we responded to the state that our intent was to expend these monies in the cafeteria. So we began to look at what are some of our options.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'll get that out to the board and let them know exactly where we
And
are.
what I'm looking at is, again, I mean, we did a lot of approving tonight so that we can move things ahead for the summertime timeframe when you have the opportunity when students are in the building. And I just wanted to keep that in front of us because if there are needs that we need to address within that same timeframe, then we need to think about it.
And we did, and again, I'll update the board on that for some consideration in May. We looked at little as just replacing some of the equipment, refrigerations go to, and Mrs. Mitchell, Johnny were involved in those meetings, to do a whole new cafeteria and something in between. Just to look at options to see what's out there.
No problem.
We'll be updated.
Should any of these additions and corrections also include the elementary food service plans?
You know what, Mrs. Hugan, there will be an effect on that depending on what we do, because some of our food preparation is done. And we did plan a few small things in those cafeterias to make them a little bit more, I don't want to say useful, but a little bit more efficient and operate a little bit more smoothly. But yes, they would, although the main focus would be at the high school.
And the one other thing, Dina, I'm sorry if I excluded you, but I want to include you as well, because, I mean, you're there day in and day out, and you know what, the changes that are coming down the pipeline, so to speak. But I think that between yourself, the head cook, and Johnny, I'd hope to hear something back as far as, what our most urgent needs are, and how we can cost-effectively spend this money to improve the whole cafeteria process.
Absolutely, we can put something together for you.
Thank you.
I would add as well that, and maybe you were alluding to this as well, Ray, that not only do we look for areas where machines, equipment need to be replaced for one reason or another, but also just basically the whole cafeteria experience for our students. How can that be improved?
Yeah, that's a longer term, more costly situation.
I'm just wondering if there are things we can do with the equipment we have to better equip our folks. Are there other offerings that they might be able to then get into, depending on what we pick? And I don't know what they would be, but just to look beyond just replacing what we have, maybe how do we do it? You did say, you talked about how do we do it better. I would include that as part of the definition.
And maybe the way this develops is that we spend the money on things that are really needed to help us right now. Improve efficiency.
That's a good point.
But maybe overall at some point down the road, we bite off, a bigger portion, and we actually do some of the recommendations that they make, which are more long-term. You know, but I'm just looking at the $57,000 for now so that we make sure that we make good use of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything else under unfinished business, Director?
Because I underline
Please.
the urgency. The math, you have about 10 weeks left to have to spend that money, so I guess we need to look at approving something, and I don't know if we're going to go out to bid, but we have a limited amount of time. And, I know we've got a lot of important distractions and things going on, and very quick decisions and whatever else.
Just something else to keep in mind.
Yeah. Anything else under unfinished business? There being nothing else, anything under new business, Director? There being nothing, I will go to open forum. And if there's anyone in the audience or Director would like to bring anything up at this point in time, you know the routine. Director Bisnick, you can come up, introduce yourself, and give us a report.
Hi, my name is Jack Bistic. I just want to take this time, I wasn't here last week, I was last month, but I really want to thank the 9th and 10th graders, the administration, and the teachers for the volunteer day that they did in all 3 communities. I know that our community was absolutely a success. I had nothing but positive feedback from all the partners that were involved. And I want to really give a special thank you because to Mr. Cozy. I know there were a lot of people involved, but I worked closely with him, and I think he did a fantastic job. He has a lot of passion, so I really appreciate that. The last thing I want to say is that this board, I think, did an excellent job of engaging the stakeholders for the new superintendent position, and I appreciate that as a parent, because it's very important. The leader of this district is probably the most important decision you guys have had on your plate all year, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your kind words. I'll just say too again, you know, our thanks to Dr. Kirk, because really she really led us through a process that really provided that. So thank you. Anything else under open forum? There being nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It has been moved. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The meeting is adjourned.